Good evening, everybody. I'd like to welcome you to the regular meeting of the New Britain Board of Education. The time is 6:02 p.m. If we would all rise, turn to our right. The flag is to the right for the Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Kane with a C, would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Asia, if you'd please call the roll.
President Guadalupe.
Here.
Vice President Diana Reyes.
Here.
Secretary Anthony Kane with the C.
Yo.
Mr. Salvador Escobalas.
Here.
Mr. Anthony Kane with the K.
Here.
Mr. Joseph Lustro.
Here.
Ms. Annie Parker.
Here.
Ms. Joan Pina. Here. Mr. Jose Rivera.
Here.
And Ms. Tina Santana.
Right here.
Thanks. So for a moment of meditation, if we could just take a moment to think about the families and the folks that were recently involved in the plane crashes. Just take a little moment of meditation for them, please. Thank you. Did we have any public participation? Okay. All right, currently nobody did sign up to speak. Is there anyone interested in speaking before the board? Going once, going twice? All right, then we will move on to the superintendent's report.
Thank you, Madam President. Very happy to be here at Pulaski tonight. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Thank you to our staff and our visitors and our guests. It's my privilege and pleasure to introduce a young lady who's going to represent the generals tonight. Heaven Flanders is a member of the National Junior Honor Society, lead singer in Pulaski's rock band. She's an 8th grade student. She has given the opportunity to stand up and represent Pulaski tonight. She has chosen to sing a song called Stand Up by Cynthia Arevio, and we're very, very happy to have Heaven with us tonight. Heaven Flanders.
I've been walking with my face turned to the sun, weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can, where I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones.
Thank you, Heaven. Wonderful, wonderful job. Some other notes from the superintendent's report tonight. So as always, you have in front of you an advance copy of the district dispatch. Before we get into that, I'd like to say a very sincere thank you to the staff members, the board members, the members of local government, state government, and community leaders and parents who've been participating in our budget process so far. We had a nice turnout at our budget forum at Smalley. I'm looking forward to any and all opportunities that I can get to speak to more people from the community about the needs in our budget. If you don't mind, Madam President, I'll be just a tiny bit political for just a moment.
Okay.
Because we've got some experience with the news articles and not always being truthful or honest or perhaps accurate. So you're about to hear that Governor Lamont announced $54 million to support school districts and their costs for special education. But in the details of that article are that is for the 26-27 school year, with no mention of support for the school year that we're about to begin. So as always, the details are important. So again, I want to thank everybody who's participated in the budget process so far. We are truly just getting started. But I do want to thank everyone who came out to the budget forum, with a special thanks to our Ed Rising students who provided babysitting services for parents who wanted to come with their little ones. So that was very, very nice. In the district dispatch, you'll not find it mentioned yet. Of course, it's coming. But I really do want to say thank you to the schools who've already begun celebrating Black History Month. I've already got an invite to do some speaking. Really looking forward to that. So if you haven't already, please do follow us on social media and see really the wonderful ways that our schools have already begun to celebrate Black History Month. The Building the Beacon article is, I want to say, a special thanks to Ms. Sanford and Mr. Pierce for a really excellent 8th grade showcase event. I was going to say night, but it was actually 2. Really strong turnout, so people can learn why we think that New Britain High School should be their high school of choice. Really, the offerings there are second to none. Nice article about our talent team in the dispatch. If the board hasn't already noticed, there's a nice tie-in between this and the personnel report on your agenda tonight. You'll find 3 positions being filled in shortage areas, 2 special ed and 1 world language. Really thanks to the hard work featured by the people featured on this page. Bringing ecosystems to life, there's a nice tie-in here with the goals that this board has assigned to the superintendent. When you asked that you wanted our students to have more opportunities for discourse, take a look at the quote from the teacher there about allowing students to be the drivers of their own learning. And then, of course, we always have some highlights from our social media feed, but there's a couple of the posts of particular note. Want to say thank you to Mr. Salina and our partners at the city, and really our partners at our construction firms. The Holmes School renovation is ahead of schedule. So we had a topping off ceremony. A few of us there had the honor of signing a beam. 40 or 50 or 60 years from now, somebody's going to wonder who that Tony Gasper guy was and why is his signature on this beam in our building. That was a really interesting experience. And then I'd also bring your attention, for those of you listening at home, to kind of the final district update. This has been really the talk of the town a few weeks ago and months ago about our school foods. As promised, Ms. Murphy is beginning the school nutrition advisory committee. That's already been advertised. If you're somebody who has been talking a lot online about the school food, I encourage you to participate and have your voice matter and not just be part of the social media chatter. This is your chance to actually have a voice and make a real impact on the food that is served to our kids each day. And that would conclude, after a really, I probably should have gone first and then let Heaven go second because she's a tough act to follow, but that would conclude the superintendent's report for this evening, Madam President.
Thank you, sir. All right, committee reports. We'll start off with policy.
We have 4 items on the agenda. There's 2 on consent agenda, which basically just added the use of AI to some of our existing policies. There is 1 item on the regular agenda for the De Loretto Elementary Middle School Program Lottery. And then there's 1 on the regular agenda for our bylaws for addressing the procedures for electing the executive board after an election.
Okay, thank you. Alrighty, personnel. Mrs. Parker?
Yes, we have a very short agenda, but the main thing was a presentation by the ESS substitute provider, and they explained their fill rates and the number of people that they're recruiting, so it was very informative.
Okay. Yes, the ESS
ESS,
presentation,
yes.
yes. All right, curriculum, Mr. Kane?
Yes, we are approving tonight, or on the consent agenda, is arts curriculum at the high school. Courses are appreciation, unified arts, painting 1 and 2, drawing 1 and 2, ceramics 1 and 2, sculpture 1 and 2, digital 1 and 2. The big change here is that a lot of the year-long courses are being moved to semester-based so that students can fit more of them into their schedules. So that's the big change in curriculum this month.
All right, finance, Mr. Kane with a C.
For the second month in a row, we had a short agenda. We only got through one letter of the alphabet this time, which makes you a little nervous for the February agenda. Are you going to get us through 3 letters of the alphabet?
That's our goal.
Yeah. But short agenda, we only had a few donations, but we also had a few purchase orders to replace equipment that needed replacing, and such as some workbenches and some consumables that are going to be on tonight's, mainly all on the consent agenda.
Okay, thank you. Board reports? Anyone have anything to share? Mr. Kane?
Yeah, my son and I, who's a upcoming freshman, attended sorry, I'm just looking for the correct title, the showcase at the high school. Just want to give a shout out to Mrs. Sanford and Mr. Pierce. It was very well organized. It was great seeing all the students who came out to speak to all the different programs, all the different, name for it, academies. And just a lot of information, a lot of chances to ask questions. So I thought it was a really great event, and it seems to be getting better. I did attend in years past, and I felt like this year was the best I've seen. So, congratulations.
Just really quick.
Yep,
I just
Diane?
want to thank Heaven again for her beautiful performance. It's amazing how our kids grow up right before our eyes. And just thanking all of the people who came out for our budget forum last week, and I see a couple that have returned. And just thank you for being here to hear what's going on.
Yeah, I wanted to echo Diana's words. I was very happy to see so many people at the budget forum. And, you know, I've said before that I really hope parents get more involved. And seeing that and seeing everyone here today, I'm very happy that everybody's, you know, trying.
Build that momentum.
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
2 things. Yes, I am also going to echo that we had a wonderful time for the presentation and pointing out that those booklets are also available to you, the family member, to you, the administrator that want to share them with your students and your families. That's important because this is the best way to get the information out. If you can discuss anything negative, you can at least remember to say a couple things positive by just flipping through. It will call your attention that there is a lot of need around special education. So just please know that even if you are not impacted directly by special ed, someone in your family may be. And it's really important for you to have these conversations with your family members. If you did not see me at St. Mary's Church over the weekend as promised, you can email Dr. Gasper at gasper@csdnp.org and request your very own copy of said document. The other thing too is that I just ask for anyone as you're leaving or even in your time this week, there is a young woman who lost her life with ties to New Britain. She was on the flight in Potomac. Her name is Justine Byer, that is her married name. She is from New Britain. Her parents still live on Jubilee Street. And so she was born in Poland, raised in New Britain, and had recently moved with her husband, who's a Middletown native down there. And so I apologize that was not, and I thank you for making sure that that was part of our moment of silence, but just in your child, let's just say a little prayer for that work. This man will be raising his son without the benefit of his wife and their daughter who was on that flight with her mom. So that was that. Okay. And thank you to everybody that has to do throughout the community.
Thank you. Anyone else? I just want to echo too as well as about the folks that showed up for our budget forum. We're not done fighting yet. We still have a ways to go. There's plenty of discussions to be had. I have sent out emails with information to all of our state reps, reached out also to other board chairs across the state with the same information. I did hear back from one already, because they all feel our pain too. It's not just New Britain. So there is, hopefully in numbers, when we get everyone together, we can make our voices heard. There will be a day at the Capitol, well, the legislative offices. The Special Education Committee is having
Correct. I don't have the date in front of me, though.
It's February 13th at 2 p.m. in room 201. It's at the Legislative Office Building, and it is a session being held by the newly formed committee to discuss special education in support of their bill, HB 5001. So I urge, if anyone is interested, it will be online too, apparently. But it's on my calendar. So. Alrighty, student representative reports.
Welcome.
What have you got for us?
We just have a couple of points to bring up. This might be just in school, but we just wanted to bring it up anyways. I know, I don't know if you've heard, but recently we've taken in at New Britain High School a new bathroom and study hall policy that we think it's pretty decent, but we think it needs reform, as with anything else. So I think that the objective of the whole thing is to make sure that students and faculty members feel like safe within the school and being able to use a bathroom without, they shouldn't have to worry about drug use or vandalism or bullying or stuff like that going on within the bathrooms. But I just think that we're not taking the 100% right approach, especially since many students have actually came up to us and voiced their opinions, which is not very such a regular thing for students to come up to us actually and say that. So I actually have a couple things written down. Some students actually have voiced that they feel like their high school experience has turned into a prison, quote unquote, exactly, because in the study halls now it's you have to sit alphabetically ordered. You can't really sit next to your friends. I guess I really haven't personally experienced it because I don't have study halls currently, but these are just some things like that. And for the bathrooms, it's I guess, is it 4 students at a time?
Yeah.
We should talk more about that.
Right. So regarding the student voices, we've spoken to student council, and some of them they've brought up anecdotes and their opinions on the new policy. But some of the key points that we had from our meeting with them was that when it comes to the bathroom policy during passing period, there is one that says that you can't use a bathroom during passing period, and passing period is typically 7 minutes. So you can only use the bathroom after the first 10 minutes of class and before the last 10 minutes of class. And there was a student who was sick, and they went to this was during passing period. They were feeling very sick, and they went to the nurse during passing. The nurse refused them. And they had to rush to a bathroom that they weren't supposed to be in. But during passing period, the bathrooms are locked, so the student basically couldn't really receive help whatsoever. And students are also asking whether or not they will eventually have the chance to go to the bathroom during their lunch waves, which is 30 minutes long. And we aren't sure whether or not the new policy is improving the conditions. I mean, we've seen some improvements, but in general, we're not sure whether or not in the long term it's gonna be an upwards trend. And some possible solutions that we brought up regarding the
Before that, I just wanted to make a quick point. So, like she was saying before, it's 10 minutes before and after class that we're not able to use the restroom, and 7 minutes between a passing period. So in total, that is 27 minutes of our day, like between each classes, that we are not able to use the bathroom, and during our lunch wave, and that I personally feel is a restriction of our rights, so.
Yeah, and we also came up with some solutions because we feel like it's better for us to offer up these solutions. And the first one was, when it came to the number of students that are allowed to use the bathrooms, the number right now I believe is 4. But we are thinking, how about the number of students who are able to use the bathroom should be dependent on the number of stalls there are in the bathroom. So a bathroom could have, let's say, 6 stalls, but there's only 4 students that are able to use the bathroom, and we understand why it's only 4 students. However, we're thinking just to make the lines shorter, it's better for it to be dependent on the stalls. Yeah.
And as she just mentioned, there are lines to go into the bathroom because we're only able to access the bathroom on our floor, which makes complete sense, but I thought the whole purpose of the policy was to limit the time in our bathroom, but honestly it kind of like was lengthening it. The other day I had to wait in like a 20-minute line just to like relieve myself. And also, what was it? Oh, another thing I wanted to mention as a solution, I know this will, we would have to purchase these, but there are like vape detectors and stuff that could be installed into the bathrooms, like hidden so the students wouldn't be able to access them, or if we put like metal grates on them or something, because I think this policy isn't really stopping drug use. I just think that students are being more discreet about it. Every time you walk past a bathroom, you can smell it from the hallway, so.
Exactly.
How many bathrooms are in Newport High?
How many bathrooms? There's,
Mr. Smedley?
yeah.
There are 8 sets of group student bathrooms, 2 on each floor, 1 through 3, and then the 500s have 2, 400s have 2. There's the locker rooms, and then the lecture hall and auditorium bathrooms. And then there's individual stalls. I think there's a total of 68
I haven't had a chance to meet with them yet about doing a better job. We were supposed to, but they were sick.
Okay. But yeah, not all of these are accessible to students, and
Well, that poses an intriguing conversation to be had.
And have you met with Mr. Pierce about this?
I haven't found time on my schedule, but my
Okay.
teacher actually made a appointment for one of my classes for a whole class discussion with him tomorrow.
Excellent. I'm sure he'll be very interested in hearing your
Yeah, and
input.
also student council, we had met with Mr. Pierce, and we're working towards some sort of improvement or some sort of something.
Oh, so the council
Yeah.
has? Okay.
Right. Yes, we have. We just wanted to bring it up.
Because it's an important issue, and I've heard a lot. We just had one more quick thing. We wanted to discuss the topic of fundraising within our school, because we found it very, I guess, difficult to raise money to go on, to do things like such as field trips or like in-school things like, I don't know, showcases and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's hard because in like prior years, we were able to do like, I don't know, bake sales, or like, my sister was in the African American Club, and they would sell beef patties during lunch waves or stuff like that. And I understand the fact of, I think it's like a government thing why we can't
Correct.
anymore. Yeah. But it's just difficult. And I know I guess it's a rule that we can't use like Cash App or digital platforms to fundraise. And we were wondering if there's any way to get around that, because nobody really carries cash anymore. So that also like limits our access to make money.
The trouble with such things like Cash App is linking them not to an individual person, right? So those things are possible if you are going through, the best way to do a fundraiser is it has to be through an entity that's separate from the school district, because the school district typically doesn't do fundraising. And it's even better if that entity is a registered not-for-profit. So, for example, if it's an entity like a booster club or some type of club that supports the arts or an athletic team, the best way is for those entities to become a not-for-profit. And the trouble with Cash App, even though we all use those things, so does the superintendent, is they're typically linked to an individual's banking account. And when you're saying that that's an activity that's supported by the school district, we run into a lot of problems with stuff like that. So that's why. And you are correct. On the food side, perhaps maybe we didn't do such a good job of following that rule in the past, but it's a very old and very well-established rule by the federal government is you can't sell food that doesn't comply with the federal guidelines for school food during the school day.
Okay,
Right.
but
On school property.
I think, it's been around a long time, yes, but I thought one way we got around it, they could do it right after school.
Outside of school hours
Yeah.
is a very different story.
So,
But-
like at the end of the school day, you could still sell.
But does that apply to, let's say, around 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. when there's like a parent conference or something going on?
No, it would not. Well, there are rules, but they would be different and more flexible. But again, you have to be careful on where is the money going, right? And we have a duty to make sure that the money is dealt with responsibly and in a way that's separate from the school district itself.
Well, usually the school has an activity account that we used to just turn the money into the person who handles that. And they keep track of everybody's account. And then, I was gonna say the other thing is that, when they have the games and stuff, I know a lot of times the sports, people hog up all the money, but maybe they should take turns and let some of these committees, clubs, have a night when they can do it and then alternate different people. That's the way of doing it. They shouldn't be able to just do it all the time. It should be other people too, so. They have to learn to share, like the rest of us.
Well, that's all we have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. All right, moving on. Need a motion to go into executive session?
You have to wait for the motion, please.
With possible public action to follow for the purposes of discussing Chamberlain North End Elementary School principalship and looking to invite Dr. Sanders, Dr. Gasper, and the two individuals, Mr. Barry and
Ms.
Ms. Carroll.
So the board will go in first, and then I'll come out and get the individuals in order.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, we are back. Thank you for your patience. So I would like to have a motion to accept Terrence Berry as the...
Second.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Congratulations. Want to do the other motion and have them both speak?
Yes.
Yep.
I'd like to have a motion.
For the record, let's just say the name at least.
Yes, Samantha Carroll as a principal for North End Elementary School.
Now is there a motion?
Now is,
I'll move.
and seconded?
Second.
Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Congratulations.
Mr. Berry, would you like to say a few words? Would you like to say a few words, Mr. Berry?
We don't bite, it's okay.
Get his head or coffee. Get it before it wears off.
To our superintendent, board members, community members, there's some teachers here from Chamberlain, and my wonderful family who is here to support me tonight. I am humbled, thankful, and excited to be appointed as a school leader in a district that has a strong commitment to the academic achievement of every student. I would like to thank the board for supporting my appointment and believing in my ability to lead. As a transformational leader, I look forward to collaborating with the Chamberlain school community as we work to elevate our students to academic excellence, not only in our district, but also in our state. Once again, thank you for accepting my leadership, and I will do my best to make you proud.
Welcome. Thank you. Mrs. Carroll.
I am deeply grateful to Dr. Gasper and the Board of Education for entrusting me with the role of principal at North End Elementary School. A heartfelt thank you to my husband and family for their unwavering support, and to Ms. Booker, North End's past administrator, for her guidance and mentorship, which prepared me for this new role. I am excited to serve the community of North End, our teachers, students, and families, and look forward to building on the incredible work already underway to continue creating a thriving, inclusive environment for all. I am honored for the opportunity to be principal at North End Elementary School. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Welcome to the team, to both of you. We're happy to have you.
All right, before we move forward, our student representatives wanted to say something?
Right, yeah. So we just wanted to say a little thank you or just give a little shout out to an administrator at our school who each day he continues to put on such a positive energy, and at times we feel like he might not really be appreciated. So we just want to give him this space to say thank you, Mr. Pierce. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, ladies. All right, we're moving on. Motion to approve minutes from the regular Board of Education meeting of January 7th. Any comments, questions, changes? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
One abstention.
One abstention.
Thank you for coming, everyone. Lovely to have you here. Thank you for coming.
All right, item B, motion to approve a report of personnel transactions and extracurricular appointments.
So moved.
Second.
Any conversation, questions, comments, concerns? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, motion carries. Item C, enrollment report.
This is informational. I would just bring the board's attention to the fact that the ups are much bigger than the downs. You'll see at the bottom we are up by 137 students year to date. But you look at some of the big gainers like Chamberlain Bridges, Gaffney, Lincoln, Vance Elementary School, 30 students, Slade Middle School, 29 students, New Britain High School, 25 students. So we are a district that continues to grow, and obviously that has budgetary impact.
All righty. Moving on. Item D, motion to approve board policy 6172.121, De Loretto Elementary Middle School program.
Motion.
Any discussion?
How is this different than the current policy?
So this alters, in a way recommended by Mr. Soto and his staff, sibling preference. So as we've made the move to an opt-out lottery, feedback from the school was that siblings were having a much smaller chance. Even though they were preferred in the lottery, when it's an opt-out lottery, they were competing against a larger number of other students. As I said at the policy committee, this is truly a philosophical decision. It has been well researched by Mr. Soto and also Mr. Richardson. It is a case of honoring the family nature and perhaps the convenience of families, making it somewhat easier, not guaranteed, but somewhat easier for siblings to get in, thereby giving them preference. The other side of that coin, that means a fewer number of families would have the chance to get at least one kid into De Loretto.
So if I'm reading this, say if we have 40 seats available at De Loretto for next year, 10 of those would be reserved for family members.
Via a lottery for siblings only, correct? And if those siblings were not elected through that lottery, they would go into the general lottery with the same chances as any other student from town. That is correct.
I just want to say I do appreciate the revisit. My 6 children did go to De Loretto, and thankfully at that time they were able to get in through that family lottery. So I kind of feel for the families that have reached out to me and asked me why was the change and, you know, giving them the reasons. But I'm happy to hear that we're revisiting that, just talking out of experience.
Yes.
So my kids did not go through De Loretto lottery. They were never impacted by it. But I can just tell you that I have gotten many, many, many phone calls about it. So the fact that we revisited this and made sure to clarify it and had this in tandem with the, building administrator saying, here you go, and this is what's gonna work for us, that helps us make an informed decision, be able to review it, and then also be able to come back and say, anytime that we get these phone calls from these parents who are very interested, that's a testament to a wonderful school and a wonderful program. But it's really tough on the spot to say, I'm sorry your kid didn't get in, and no, I can't pull any strings. This is the process, and this is it. Got it on paper right over here, here's the policy. So I thank you, Mr. Soto, for being able to do that. Thank you.
Any other conversation, questions, comments, concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, motion passes. Item E, motion to review board bylaws to address the procedures for electing executive board. And, thank you. Second?
Second.
Okay, so, my bad, I hit track changes too much, so you have a separate copy of what's really, and what we discussed and approved. I apologize, what's in the packet is not the correct version. Luckily, I spotted that today and sent in the correct one.
If I'm understanding, Madam President, it basically was changed to Chapter 2, Section 1, is that now we're required that within 10 days of the election, we have to meet, elect the new executive board and appoint the chairman. Whereas before, we were going a whole month in the meantime. Is that correct?
Previously, the regular meeting in December was
Right.
slated to be the annual meeting, which unfortunately, we've experienced last time a stoppage of work, for lack of a better way of putting it. So this, establishing the annual meeting to be within 10 calendar days after the November general elections, or when they would occur, ensures that a new set of officers and, committee chairs are in place before the next business meeting, committee meeting.
And I also like under Chapter 3, you codify the agreement for when the board is split by political parties too.
Chapter 3 will do that, yes,
Yes, I also like that as well.
correct. Yes, sir.
I'd like to just say from a practical standpoint, this makes a lot more sense, since coming off of an election, you may have half of your board turn over, and to try to move forward with leadership that may not even be on the board at that time, since, an election just occurred, is impossible. So I think these are good changes that'll help us function much more smoothly after elections in future years.
Well, consider this year, I think 3 of the current officers are up for re-election this year.
All three of us, yes.
Yeah.
Yep. We are. Yes, sir.
I like this change. My only question is the swearing in always less than 10 days
Yes.
after election?
By charter, it's 1 week.
1 week, so 7 days?
Within-
Yes.
right.
Okay.
That's why it was put in specifically for 10 calendar days, just to ensure that occurs, in lieu of making the timing be after the swearing in.
Got it.
That, if you want, let's look at then for practicality, 10 calendar days would put it on,
It would be by the Sunday. Should be, if I did my math right. But then again, I can't track changes right, so who knows? Any other questions, comments, concerns?
yeah, I'm looking here, the election this year is going to be on the 4th.
It's Tuesday, it's always a Tuesday.
Yeah. So that would make it Friday the 14th. Swearing in will be the 11th, so we'd only have Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday that week to meet.
that's going to be the case anyway.
So we have to meet by the end of that week, okay?
Yep.
And we would have to have policy and subcommittee meetings occurring the following week in order to meet our December
Okay.
meeting.
All right.
All righty. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. And you'll get the right copy, sorry. Okay. Item F, motion to review Board Policy 6146.11, grading and weighted grading for honors classes.
So moved.
Discussion.
So I was speaking with Mr. Kane with a K briefly as we came back from executive session. I want to apologize to the board. There's a glitch in our practice here. This was reviewed by policy committee 2 months ago, I believe. It was sent back for some more work or some more research. It's a procedural error or just a clerical error on our part that it should have come back to policy 2 weeks ago, and it did not. However, in speaking with the board chair, I believe that we do have answers to those questions. Ms. Velasquez is here to talk about that. We do hope that the board is comfortable pushing forward this policy tonight. If not, we certainly understand if there's more work to be done.
So I'm understanding it, an AP course or an EC course is weighted double the added value?
So Ms. Velasquez will take us through it. She's the one who did the hard work on this.
Sure. So the question on weighting, if you look on page 3 of the policy, you see the 3 pieces there, right? The AP strand, and then the honors, and then the college prep. And so, yes, it's weighted 1 versus no weight. That's how they calculate the weights.
And is that a new practice as per this policy, or is that existing practice?
So what we had before was an additional strand, and now I'm going to look at the Mr. Pierce to explain. Can you join me, please? Yeah, because I can't explain what is not there. However, currently there are 4 strands, and we have reduced it to 3. And I was asked about the weighting. So what has been eliminated? What was the strand that was eliminated?
Right here. So the 4 strands were standard, accelerated, honors, and AP.
And so we collapsed down the 2 are now college prep, and they used to be called standard and then accelerated.
I think the question, though, is weighting AP at 1.0 and honors at 0.5. Is that newly proposed here, or does that reflect existing practice in some way?
That's a new proposal. The old practice was 23 points. It was a 23-point scale.
So the standard, or the 2 lower ones were not weighted?
They were weighted, but not as not valued as much as an AP. So, for example, the best way to illustrate this would be a D- in an AP class was weighted more than an A in a standard.
In other words, more positively counting towards your GPA.
Yes.
And does this bring that somewhat more into alignment, the proposal tonight?
Yes.
Okay. And I believe the question, Ms. Velasquez, that came from the policy committee was about would this grading procedure, this grading protocol and policy, accidentally dissuade some students from taking classes in the arts, classes in technology, those classes that are, quote, not counting towards class rank?
Right, exactly. So what we did to research that was we looked at all the students who are ranked 1 through 150. We compared the courses that the top 20 took to the next, I think it was like 101 to 120, to see what types of courses they took, and there wasn't that much of a variance, right? And so the top students are still taking those unweighted classes by interest. Yeah, so there was a slight difference because, of course, if you're at the very top, you're going to take more of those advanced courses, but it wasn't significant.
Yeah, but our students being informed, as somebody who teaches a lot of AP and EC courses, a lot of my students are surprised when they get their first progress report or the first time they sit down with their counselor after getting the first test and suddenly see their GPA plummet or rise. Are they being told now, well, this course is weighed differently? Are they being told?
Well, they would be if the board adopts the policy.
Right.
I believe the current weighting is in the handbook, if I'm not mistaken, Mr. Pierce, so.
But is it reviewed to them by their counselors when they sign up for the course?
So
It's one thing to have it in a handbook, but is it actually being explained to them?
your counseling sessions, right, to choose and be placed into those higher courses, do they understand that there is a weighted, I believe that that's a conversation, yes.
Two questions, if I may. The first one, not related to weighting, but in a different way. Reading from page 2 into page 3, as I'm reading it, is the calculated GPA for every marking period now going to include the weighting? Whereas right now, I don't believe it is. So for example, you get your report card, your current report card, end of quarter, will tell you your GPA is 3.7. Right now, I don't believe that includes the weighting, but this indicates that it would be weighted.
In other words, would the GPA be calculated each quarter or only at the end of the course or year?
With the weight, the weighted value.
So, once the semester ends.
Okay, all right. So for example, somebody got a 3.7 for high honors, that they're taking the weight of each, AP or honors course into consideration for every marking
Taken
period.
into consideration right away at the semester mark.
Right, okay, because I don't think when it's calculated now, I don't think that's the case. I think it's only for class rank that it's.
So, yeah, the weighted GPA is really only used for class rank, to determine
Okay.
class rank. That's its biggest.
Okay, so when I look at like a report card or a transcript and it says unweighted GPA.
That will be unweighted,
And that's, okay, okay, and that's what the high honors and honors is being, that's how it's being determined? As far as the 3.6 or 3.7 or?
I see.
I'm not sure I
Honor roll?
For the honor roll,
For the
right,
honor
right.
roll. The honor
So if you
roll
have a
is
student taking several AP courses and they get a couple of, Bs or a C or whatever, and so their GPA is under, but they're taking those weighted, more of those weighted courses, 5 of their 7 are APs or whatever, would that student get penalized if the honor roll is not including the weight of those more challenging courses? It's kind of the question there.
No, it's the unweighted that's used for the.
Right, but is this a change, or is this the same, this high honors honors? Is that the same as it always has been?
Yeah, that's the same.
That's the same, okay,
yes.
okay, all right, all right. I wasn't sure if there was a change in there, okay.
I agree too. It's like, as somebody who teaches these courses, the workload is tremendously more. And I think it's a good incentive, it's a good incentive to get them to do it. It's going to count more for them.
And just the follow-up question I have, on page 2, it says in the paragraph at the bottom, grade weighting encourages and rewards students for selecting courses at more challenging levels of difficulty. I mean, if that's the case, I would think the inverse would also be true, where if you have kids who are, and I teach in a district where, unfortunately, a lot of kids I know have that on their mind. So once you get past the initial 25 credits and requirements for graduation, kids are looking at saying, well, if I take I have electives now. Well, if I take this elective in AP, I know that will help me get closer to the top of my class. Whereas if I take this elective in culinary or art or music or drama, it's unweighted, that will pull down. So I would think that the inverse would be the case, even though I know from the analysis it doesn't appear to be. As our district becomes more academically competitive and our kids keep rising up, my fear is you're taking away, you could be, in some cases, taking away the human element where a kid's saying, man, I'd really like to take this, but it may hurt me as far as trying to get into a competitive school or trying to be at the top of the class. Would it be possible as kind of a compromise for ranking of the class to just use the 25 credit requirement with all of the required classes and electives above and beyond that not be included? Then if you had a kid who took a bunch of art or music classes or drama classes, they're not being penalized because I mean, every other class, all of their English, all of their social studies, all of those classes, you're comparing apples and apples as opposed to apples and oranges based on student interest.
So all classes are weighted, right? So if you look at the weighted
Right.
calculation, they're all weighted.
Right, I just mean as far as the class rank goes.
Just having those 3 levels,
Right.
and then going from a 23-point scale to a 5-point scale,
Yeah.
will really equal
Level it out more.
that opportunity.
Okay.
And reduce the penalty here that I think you're referring to.
Yeah.
This will
Yeah.
actually address that.
That's, yeah, you're right about that. It's smoother, curve. Thank you.
Any
Okay.
other questions?
Any other questions? We have a motion on the table.
Do we have a motion?
You do.
Yep. Motion on the table to approve. Okay.
You have a motion
Yeah, we
and a
know,
second.
we do have a motion on the table already. So any more discussion or questions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Opposed?
Yeah, I have a question.
Tina? Oh, you have a question, or?
Concerned, but that's okay.
Was that a vote?
You're opposed?
I'm opposed.
She's opposed. Okay, motion carries though. Okay, item G. Motion to review and approve capital budget request to the city.
Go home, do homework. Get your AP done, okay? It's okay. You good.
Okay.
So you need a motion in a second,
Yep,
or it'll
no.
die on the floor if there is no
Yeah.
motion yet?
Do I have a motion to review and approve?
Second.
Okay, discussion.
So I'd like to thank the board for your indulgence. This is something that I had intended to bring to the FFT committee. It is the superintendent's own fault. I had a large number of distractions last week. So I am asking that you consider this. I'd like to thank Mr. Smedley and Ms. Gonzalez and really the whole facilities team for putting this together. I had a question from the board president as to whether or not this amount of work would take care of the facilities project, and Mr. Smedley told me.
No.
So this is not for your budget. This is a request to the city to include these items in its next round of bonding. It may feel unfamiliar to those of you who've been on the board for a while. It's because Mr. Smedley and his city government hat informs me we've never really done this before. We submitted a small request to the mayor last year, and that's how we got the musical instruments and the renovations to the training room at the high school. But this is much more of a proper capital budget request. It's something that the district should have been doing every year forever. And the city can choose to act on it and build this into a bonding package, or they can just simply say, no, not this year. What we've done here is basically, and I believe the list was much longer, again, thanks to good work by Mr. Smedley, Ms. Gonzalez, and the facilities team, there were a variety of priorities. You'll see down near the second to right-hand column. In meeting with Ms. Alfano and Mr. Smedley, I made the decision to take the top priorities and/or the ones that were priority 2 but were listed as life safety projects, because I was just making, to be quite honest, a political decision at what the bottom line was going to be. So I think a $2.47 million request from the city is a reasonable one. There's nothing here, just like the other budget, there's no fluff. Right, we need domestic hot water, we need fire alarm panels, we have to fix the sewer odor at Roosevelt, we need a maintenance vehicle, we need emergency lighting. You'll see there's not much flash here. It's really just the basics Mr. Smedley, anything about these requests that?
I just want to add 2 points. You said one already, sir, is that the list is much more extensive. There's actually hundreds of items on our list that we went through as a team, building by building. And this list, there's a minor discrepancy in what lines up with what. So the bottom line dollar figure is $2.4 million that we are requesting, but some of the descriptions appear to have been sorted differently when it made it to your package.
Okay.
So
We'll clean that up.
Thank you. So I'm requesting that the board would adopt this as a capital budget request from the city.
Motion,
Second.
asked for years.
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you for your support.
Not a problem. Okay, before we go on to consent agenda, is there anything that anyone wants to remove from the consent agenda? Okay. Motion to accept consent agenda.
Second.
Any discussion, questions, anything? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Consent agenda approved. Alrighty, and we're rolling right along. Okay, need a motion to go into executive session to discuss a litigation matter with Attorney John Dakin, and I also invite Ms. Manning, Attorney Dakin, and, am I saying his name right? I'm sorry.
Dakin?
Dakin. Sorry, and Dr. Gasper.
Motion. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Alrighty, we're back. But don't get comfortable. So, need a motion to go into executive session to discuss contract negotiations for the superintendent, as well as contracts for professional locals 6621 and both of them are 6621.
That is not an error, correct?
Okay.
But
But for the family school liaisons, behavior support assistants, vocational job coaches, and career coaches, as well as teaching assistants, tutors. And I'm inviting Attorney Ritter, Ms. Manning, and the superintendent.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Off we go. So, I need a motion to approve contracts for, two contracts for 6621 for the family school liaisons, behavior support assistants, vocational job coaches, career coaches, teaching assistants, and tutors.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Any other business is permitted by law?
Move to adjourn.
Anybody second that? Second. All those in favor? Aye. We are adjourned.